Hello, you have made it to the final video for Unit 1, Biological Bases. This video is going to talk about all of the other senses that we have not talked about yet. So we're going to talk about our two chemical senses and then our bodily senses as well. By the end of this video, you should be able to answer the following question. How do the structures and functions of the chemical sensory system, the touch and pain sensory systems, and the systems that control balance and body movement relate to behavior and mental processes? The first chemical sense we're going to talk about is gustation, or taste. Taste is a chemical sense because a substance, food molecules, is what is detected, not just energy like in sight or in hearing. Taste buds are on our tongue and they are underneath or within the papillae, or the little bumps on your tongue. These taste buds regenerate approximately every 2 weeks. We do have people who are known as super tasters, and these are individuals with more papillae, therefore more taste buds on their tongue. Super tasters are going to perceive taste in a lot more intense way than someone like a medium taster who has the average taste perception. There are also people who are considered non-tasters. Non-tasters have a lower than average taste perception. It's not that they don't taste at all, it's just their perception is a lot lower than someone who has more papillae or more taste buds. We have 6 known flavors that our taste buds can perceive: sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. We also have umami, which is the inherent savoriness or that brothy or meaty taste. And we also have the astringent taste, which is where our mouth kind of puckers or numbs the tongue or constricts the throat. This is often present in unripe bananas, pomegranate, pineapple, cranberries, or sometimes red meat and then burnt or smoked food. We also have the taste of oleogustus, which is the unique taste of fat that you might get when you're eating like grease or something like that. Like taste, smell is a chemical sense. Odorants, or the molecules of the object you are smelling, enter the nasal cavity to stimulate 5 million receptors to sense our smell. The olfactory epithelium is responsible for detecting these odorants and is at the roof of the nasal cavity, about 7 centimeters above and behind the nostrils. As humans, we can detect about 10,000 different odors. These olfactory receptors in the nasal cavity regenerate approximately once a month. The sense of smell or olfaction does not go to the thalamus to be processed, unlike the other senses we've talked about. The sense of smell is actually processed inside of the olfactory bulb. The olfactory bulb is located directly next to the hippocampus, which means that our smell and our memory is highly connected. Have you ever experienced a smell that immediately makes you think of a memory that you have of that smell? The smell of French fries might take you back to a job you once had. So because the olfactory bulb is so close to the hippocampus, the sense of smell and memory are highly connected. Now that we've talked about all 5 of our major senses, let's talk about this idea of sensory interaction. Sensory interaction is when more than one of our senses work together in order to process an entire experience. The best example of this is our smell and our taste. Our smell and our taste work very closely together, mostly because they're located within the same area of our body, and they're processed in a very similar location. When you are smelling something that smells really bad, you might think it also tastes bad. However, our senses interact more than this. If you see something that does not look appetizing, it might interact with your sense of taste. This might make you process the information or the taste information differently than if you didn't see it. Okay, next we're going to talk about our bodily senses. The first is the sense of touch. Our sense of touch is processed through receptors in our skin, and we have different types of sensors for different types of information. We have receptors for temperature, pressure, distortion, or chemical changes. Our sense of touch is processed in our sensory cortex or our somatosensory cortex. Much like our motor cortex that controls different parts of our body along the motor cortex, the somatosensory cortex also has different structures of our body along the somatosensory cortex throughout our parietal lobe. The parts of our body that are more sensitive to touch, have more space along this sensory cortex. The gate control theory helps us understand our feelings of pain. This is a theory where the spinal cord controls pain by opening and closing different nerve gates to allow or block signals to the brain when we're experiencing pain. For example, if the gate is open, the pain signals compete for the brain's attention. If the gate is closed, those pain signals are prevented from reaching the brain. Non-painful sensations such as light touch or pressure can close the gate to painful input. This can help reduce pain along the way. For example, kissing a boo-boo or clutching a stubbed toe can help relieve pain if you're feeling some pain. Negative emotions like stress, anger, or depression can open the gate and make pain feel more intense. Other factors like stress, tension, focusing on the pain, and lack of activity can all open the gate as well. So this is the idea of mind over matter. The next body sense we're going to talk about is the vestibular sense, or our sense of balance. We talked about our vestibular sense a little bit when we were talking about the semicircular canals in our ear. We have receptors inside of those semicircular canals that tell our brain where our head is in relation to the rest of our body or the ground. I like to think of this kind of like one of those levels that has a little bubble inside of it that tells you how tilted your object is. This is how we determine our balance. If we have a disruption in our semicircular canals, we can have what is called vertigo, which is the feeling of dizziness, even though you shouldn't feel dizzy. Let's talk a little bit about pain. Pain is experienced through the stimulation of nociceptors. These receptors indicate damage and send pain signals to the brain. These nociceptors are in our body. However, if someone experiences an amputation, they might continue to feel this pain even though the receptors are no longer there. This is what we call phantom limb pain. Phantom limb pain is the feeling of pain or discomfort in a limb that has been amputated or was never there. This is a neurological phenomenon that occurs because the brain and spinal cord are still sending signals to the site of the amputation or lost limb, even though that limb is not there. Finally, let's talk about the kinesthetic sense. The kinesthetic sense tells us where our body parts are and gives us agility. This is the ability to know where your body parts are in relation to the rest of your body. The receptors for our kinesthetic sense are located in our muscles and our joints. The kinesthetic sense allows us to move your body freely in order to perform gross motor tasks. Okay, we have finished our biological basis videos. Our next unit will be on cognitive psychology.